Hi and welcome to another edition of Mailbag. Okay, this is Mailbag, common feature of the channel. It's where I attempt to answer questions that you guys have left on the channel, or if I can't answer them, I have a good go at answering them, or I throw them out to the wider Tubi community to try and answer on behalf of somebody who's raised the question. Now, we'll get into this mailbag. Remember, like, comment, subscribe to the channel. Go over to Instagram and follow me there. Go over to Facebook, follow me there. That's where the normal notices are. And consider becoming a Patreon. Okay, this question comes from Don DeVore, where I can stop dropping my pieces of paper on the ground. And it's in response to exploring the Roland JX-10 Part 1, a video I did in May 2021. And with all these videos, when you're lent a keyboard, you only get a finite amount of time, and I kind of feel I did enough justice to the JX-10, but I probably could have done with more time with it. It didn't help that I was in the period I wasn't very well. In fact, I haven't been very well for quite a lot this year for various reasons. And it's not COVID related, I might add. Anyway, what Don writes is, oh my God, those microwave buttons still work. They do as well. Amazing. I had a JX-10 in my studio for 20 years. I had a JX-10 in my studio 20 years ago, but we never used it much. It seemed outdated compared to the modern Korgs and Yamahas of the time. I sold it in around 2004. They weren't as coveted and valuable. Regrettably, I have the VA model in the Phantom now, so it's with me in spirit. Smiley face. And yes, well, I mean, my conclusion on the JX-10 was basically that it wasn't on my bucket list, but the JX-10 might be, and I'd need to get hold of a JX-10 to see if it was really a synth I wanted. However, since writing this reply and today, Roland have announced the was it the JX-08, I think is the boutique name, which effectively is meant to be a JX-8P. However, if you read the specs on it, apparently you can double them up, which makes it a JX-10, which is very interesting. So it would be very interesting to get hold of the boutique and see really what it's all about. Anyway, that is the sort of between me writing the answer and this answer coming out. I think, yes, they work in terms of those microwave buttons. They do work, but they do need a little bit of coaxing. They are showing their age, and this is something I said to Richard, because it was Richard's machine. I suspect the board at some point will probably need the tack switches being replaced, because effectively all it is a membrane on top of the tack switch. So pretty much you could put any switch you like on top of it. It's just in this instance Roland decided to put a membrane, and you can feel the tack switches underneath it. It's not a true what do they call it, chiclet keyboard, which is something like what the what the ZX Spectrum had. Same sort of concept. Was the chiclet keyboard. It wasn't the Spectrum. I'm thinking about ZX81, but that style of keyboard, damn awful keyboards. I hated I didn't really get on with the JX-8P, which was one of the reasons why it wasn't on my bucket list. But it was also one of the reasons why I didn't buy, when it was offered to me, an original DX7 Mark I, because the key, I hate those membrane keyboards. When I was able to, I got a DX7 Mark II because it has proper buttons with proper tack switches. Anyway, back to this. So as I said, I suspect, you know, the switches will need replacing. The right or the poly switches were the ones that were driving me potty when I was doing the videos. You kind of need to rock your finger backwards and forwards for a bit before you get a response. But, you know, at the end of the day, these machines are 30+ years old. And at that point in time, I did have the S50 on the bench, and I was going to replace the tack switches on the S50, which was reporting a very similar thing, but they were proper switches. But I haven't done it because it's sitting there, actually in front of the SQ2, which was on the previous mailbag item. So I kind of apologise for that, but that's reality. You know, I need to get around to these jobs. The U20 is on here. That's the next one to be processed. Anyway, going back to the answer, the 8P and the 10 were victims of the time. I mean, I do mean that. They weren't bad machines. The double oscillator on every key and the ability to slightly detune them was a fantastic piece of analog engineering at the time. The problem was, along came the DX7, which launched a year after the 10 did, which probably did him for the 10. Although many people say they regretted not buying the 10 because they bought the D50. And also the other thing was the DX7 Mark II launched about the same time as these synths went. And a giggy musician, you know, you've got to make a decision as a giggy musician. What is the right keyboard to have on the road? Because there is a distinct difference, and guys, you know, many of you work in studios, many of you are giggy musicians that watch the videos on the channel, and you know exactly what I'm saying when you know a keyboard that is in a studio gets a different treatment to a keyboard that's taken on the road, and you have to decide whether you're going to take those keyboards on the keyboards in the studio on the road. Some keyboards are far more fragile than others. And you know, I was quite surprised recently when I went to see Genesis to see Tony Banks with an Oasis on the road, not a Nautilus, an Oasis on the road, and also an old Wave Station. I can't remember what the other one is. One of the tubers told me what the other synth was, but they told me what the machines were. None of the machines he has on the road that he's playing at the moment are modern machines. Yes, he has Mainstage. Yes, he has VST plugins that are generating a lot of the sounds for him. But the actual keyboards he's using are still the old ones. And I was quite surprised to see them on the road, but all to good of him. Anyway, so, you know, we have to go for, you know, flexibility in sound generation, but also MIDI functions and storage capabilities and transportability and longevity, and you know, the list goes on. You know, it's the keyboardist's nightmare when you actually decide that you need to upgrade your board. What do you go and get? And I'll leave it there.